Welcome back to Philippines Uncut. I'm Buddy Cunana, and tonight's topic is solar power. And a while ago in the first segment, we had Mr. Yan Zhuang, who is the Senior Vice President of Canadian Solar, who gave us a broad overview of what is happening in the solar industry in the world. And now we have Mr. Ian Rogers-Smith, who is Canadian Solar's man on the ground. He's the Regional Sales Manager for Southeast Asia. Good evening, Ian, and welcome to Philippines Uncut.
Thank you, buddy. It's good to be here.
Thank you very much. So yeah, exciting topic, solar power, and we had a very good conversation with Yan earlier about global trends.
Yes.
With regard to solar power, he gave us a nice overview about what's happening in the industry, yes, and opportunities and pitfalls and challenges and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about solar power here in the Philippines.
Right.
How realistic is this? How viable is this for Filipino households?
Well, I think as Jan had mentioned, you have an abundance of sunshine here in the country. Obviously, right now it's not as sunny as it should be, of course, but in general, I think it's an excellent venue for solar power. I think the Philippines could benefit greatly from more solar installations, of course, and variety of installations. It can be either utility scale, where you replace coal burning and oil burning power plants. You can also have rooftop situations where you're connected to the grid in the home, or you can have battery storage, of course. And then, of course, you have solar home systems for very remote areas where they can actually have lighting and they can charge their phones and do a variety of things.
These are for people who are not connected to the grid.
Absolutely.
Now, I think a lot of people watching the show now who are connected to the grid, who are paying a lot of money to Meralco.
Sure, yes. Like myself, of course, yes.
You are paying
in the region of 13.3 pesos per kilowatt hour, of course.
So you're no stranger to the high cost of energy and electricity here in the Philippines.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how would you compare the price of electricity here in the Philippines to, let's say, other countries where you've lived in Southeast Asia?
I think it's probably one of the highest. I think you pay more here than in many countries, frankly. Certainly, my bills seem to be larger here than they've been elsewhere, so not too thrilled about that. And, of course, we're very reliant on air conditioning and refrigeration and all that type of thing. So, yes, I'd like to see my bills a lot less than they are, frankly.
And I'm sure a lot of the people watching at home now who are connected to the grid, not just those in the hinterlands, are also wondering the same thing. Can solar power help, and can it?
Absolutely. I think that, and as Jan had mentioned earlier, it's a question of, it's all about the financial aspect of it. It depends on the price of the panels, of course, and as he mentioned, we are reaching grid parity in many places. We've already reached grid parity in many places, and I think the Philippines, certainly with the price of energy that you pay, you don't really need to have any kind of subsidy. It's nice to have that subsidy, but I think there are cases where you can actually put solar panels on the roof of your home and benefit from that without a subsidy.
Yes.
At this point in time.
You talked about cost, and at the end of the day, that's what really boils down to.
Yes.
How much it will cost someone to install a solar power system in one's home.
Yes.
Now, let's say it's a middle-income family here in the Philippines.
Right.
Is it viable for them to buy all to buy the solar cells, to buy the inverter, to buy the batteries, and to install these things in their homes?
I think it is. We provide a complete solution. We provide a whole rooftop solution, which includes the panels, the inverters, the cabling, the racking, everything. And we've been very successful in other countries with that, particularly in Japan. Of course, obviously there's a higher income group in Japan than there is in the Philippines, but I think that it's all about the length of time, the payback period. You're really you're really paying for your electricity up front, and it really depends on whatever you pay for your solar system and how long it takes, how much you would pay for your electricity to the grid, let's say. So, and typically you could possibly, payback periods with 7, 8 years in some cases. So it can be quite a shorter period of time, over depending on how much you do pay for electricity, which is quite a great deal of money in this country, of course.
Yes, and that really is a big attraction for solar power here in the Philippines.
Right, and incidentally, as we mentioned earlier, it does increase the value of your home, because if you have a home for resale, if you have solar panels on your roof, obviously it's very attractive to people to have solar panels, when they're buying a home, of course, because then they know that, and of course the solar system has been paid for if you buy a home, and their electricity is virtually free in some cases. So.
Do you know of any case, I mean, like in Japan, are there cases where homes are really off the grid already and not connected to the commercial power supply?
I don't have any direct evidence of that, but I'm sure that's the case. You know, I'm sure that they can do that. You know, obviously you have to have battery storage if you're actually off the grid, because at nighttime, you know, obviously the solar panels are not producing electricity, so the batteries will store that electricity you built up in the daytime, and then of course you can use it in the evenings. So yeah, I'm sure that's it's certainly feasible.
Is this a service that your company, let's say if there are people watching now and, and they're interested to get off the grid to become 100% electricity self-sufficient, you can help them, your company can help them?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. We can provide pretty much, the battery storage is another technology that we can actually contract from others to provide that, of course. We can provide, you know, the inverter, as I say, everything other than the battery storage, but that can be, we can bring that into play as well by working with partners, of course.
Yes, and if the payoff, if the return on investment is, as you said, you're paying for your power in advance,
yes,
and you know, cost of electricity is going to go up.
Yeah, because oil is going to increase. I mean, we can see maybe $200 a barrel at some point. I mean, yeah, I guess it's a $200. What do they? I don't know what they actually compute oil in, but you know, currently it's in the 100 range, and then it can be 200. So, yeah, it could effectively double at some point. I mean, even in Saudi Arabia, they're talking about the end of oil when they don't have any oil left, and they're considering building big megawatt solar plants in the Middle East, for example. So, you know, I mean, there is a point. I don't know in my lifetime, but certainly in your lifetime, I would think, you know, there may be a point where there is where oil would be, you know, very expensive. So.
You know, there was a time when people talked about solar power, and you know, it was cool. Maybe at a solar, you know, a solar cell that powered, let's say, a battery that could power, let's say, a lamp at night or a radio. Now, these days, when you talk about solar power, it is possible to energize bigger appliances that require more energy, like air conditioners, refrigerator. It is possible. It is possible.
It's just a question of size of the installation, and you know, you need more and more solar panels, obviously, for the larger appliances, for things like refrigeration and air conditioning. Obviously, you need more wattage, you know, to drive those. I mean, for the smaller homes, for example, we produce a solar home system, and a solar home system, typically for people in very remote areas, you know, their interest really is more lighting for their children to study, of course, and then maybe they have a mobile phone they want to charge, and maybe they want to listen to the radio. So those are low power eating, if you want, for want of a better, consuming items. So those are things that are easily attainable using a solar home system, of course.
No, but you know, I mean, we here in the city, we sometimes don't realize the importance of such basic things to people who live in the hinterlands.
Yes, like we take it for granted, don't we?
Yes, we take it for granted. Light, the ability to charge our mobile phones. But in the countryside, this makes this is a life-changing experience, having light at night.
Well, that's right. We're in the business of transforming people's lives, basically. I mean, and for their environment in general. I mean, particularly in those remote areas where there is no grid and there's no electricity. I mean, so when they get electricity, obviously that's a huge change to their lives. And you know, I think that the Philippines is one of those areas with 7,000 islands, or you know, thereabouts. I think there's probably a lot of opportunity for that to happen, to be able to do that. I'm sorry, my telephone is just gone off.
No worries.
Let me just turn it off real quickly.
In your experience here in the Philippines, given your basic what you've seen here in the Philippines, what is the, I mean, how big is the demand or the potential demand for home solar systems in remote areas?
I think it's huge. I mean, I wouldn't be able to give you the numbers, but I mean, given the population of the Philippines and the number of people that are without electricity, I mean, these remote islands, they have no grid at all, and you'd have to look at that. But I mean, I'm here in the Philippines, you know, to promote the company's products, and I think that you know, we have a great future for that. I mean, we obviously have a corporate social responsibility is one big aspect of our company. We're a global company, obviously, but you know, when we're in Southeast Asia and some of these areas where electricity is at a minimum, then you know, we have an obligation to try to make people's lives better by actually giving them the tools that they can use to produce the electricity and to transform their lives, of course. So Philippines, certainly there's there's challenges, but I think the biggest challenge for the remote areas is the logistics. I mean, the logistics of taking something to a remote island is huge. For example, these solar home systems.
So you have one here. Let's bring it out.
Yeah.
Let's show the audience what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it actually is a very attractive looking contraption. It looks almost like a vacuum cleaner,
well,
like a cool
it's,
radio. Or
it's an appliance, basically. You know, it's a home appliance.
So this is Canadian Solar's solar
home system.
Home system.
Yeah, this is a 30-watt system, and basically it comes with a solar panel that is connected, and you put it. Generally, you put it on a pole, you know, outside your home, and it'll collect sunlight and produce electricity. And then, of course, on the front here you have 4 connections for LED lights, so you can put 4
light-emitting diodes.
Yes, light-emitting diodes, which are bright white light diodes, and very, very bright. And you can have cables, long cables, that you can string around in your home, of course. And then also it has a USB port that you can actually put an MP3 player there. You can actually put music into the system, or there's a radio. So I can actually...
There's a radio.
Yeah, I can actually put the radio on if it works. Do I have the... Maybe we've flattened the battery by
and
playing
it
it too
actually
much.
is a very cool looking contraption. I mean,
Right.
when people talked about the solar system, solar equipment, I mean, I never would have thought it would look cool like this.
No, I mean, this
I
is...
even like the color.
So
So you can hear the radio.
Kasi nagtatrabaho po ako at
Radio's on.
nag-aaral sa
Cool,
ngayon.
cool.
Madalas po,
So typically in the provinces where there's no power,
Yes.
if a family had this, they would have, as you said, access to 4 LED lights, enough to
Correct.
power, enough to give decent illumination. to one's
Absolutely,
home.
absolutely, yeah.
And they can use the USB
To power their phone, to charge their phone,
phones
yeah,
and
yeah.
things, and there's even a radio.
And there's a radio too, yeah, that's right. So, no, I mean, this is all many of these people want, frankly. I mean, generally, if you've got a bamboo home in the middle of a remote island, you rarely would have a refrigerator. You probably don't have, well, I'm sure you don't have air conditioning. So these are the basics that you would actually need. And everybody has a mobile phone these days, regardless of where you are. And that's probably, there's no landlines, obviously. So mobile phones would be the one form of communication they'd use. And so this would be ideal for charging their phones as well. So.
How, in which parts of the country have you already sent these solar systems to?
You know, I have a hard time with Philippine names, and but I'll give you an example. They actually fly it to Riau, and then they'll take a pump boat, which is the bamboo boats. I don't know how to describe it. They got the floats on the side, and then they take it 9 hours in the pump boat to an island. And they could even, at low tide, they may even have to take it out of the pump boat, put it into a smaller boat. When they get to the island, then they have to walk through jungle with maybe an oxen and with these things on the oxen. So I have some wonderful pictures of people whose lives have been transformed by this particular product. And yeah, it's certainly something that I've seen benefit many people in this country already.
How much would one of these systems cost?
Well, less than $200 typically. I don't know for sure because we sell through distribution, and distributors obviously have their pricing, but certainly very affordable for most people. And the government here, I think the Department of Energy has been providing these to these people at, I think, at low cost or even no cost in some cases. So there is a lot of programs by NGOs that are using these. We've actually already distributed over 2,000 of these in the Philippines.
Okay.
And there are some tenders now by the government for more, and we have every reason to believe that we'll be part of that. And I think this product is going to be a big hit in this country.
And this comes with, as you mentioned, it comes with the basic unit. It comes with the solar cell, which you mount.
Panel, yeah.
A solar panel, which you mount on the roof or on a pole, on a high pole outside your home.
Yes, yes.
And then it comes with 4 LED lights.
It can be configured in many ways, but 4 is a number that we currently can do there. We can do 2 if necessary, which will obviously bring down the price, but 4 is probably the better number for most people.
And as I understand, you can even change the color.
Absolutely, yeah. You can. We've made them in purple. We've made them in lime green. So, for example, in Thailand, yellow is one party. So we don't.
As it is here.
We don't want to be partial to one company. So red and yellow in Thailand, as you know. So we've made
the red
them,
shirts and the yellow shirts.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we've made them in purple, and we've made them in lime green.
Purple.
Absolutely, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Very, very wise business strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, another question. This thing is not only, looking at it and looking at what you can benefit from this thing.
Sure.
It's not only for people in the hinterlands. You know, we just had several weeks, as I mentioned, of really bad weather,
Yes.
where the capital was knocked out, power was knocked out for several days, and
Right.
this thing would be excellent for people who are looking for
an emergency system.
an emergency light system.
Yeah.
Before LED lights, it's not bad, and,
Yeah.
and pretty bright, and you can charge your cell phones. In an emergency, at least you're not cut off from
Right.
the world.
And assume you've already charged your battery, of course, and
Yes.
you know that'd be fine. I mean, obviously, if you have 5 days of rain, you want to make sure that your battery's already been charged previously when you've had sunny days, because you're obviously not going to be using it in times of good weather.
Yes.
So yeah, for an emergency system, I think it would be very good.
Or let's say if you want, if you could use this to power your home's external illumination, so you don't need to
Yeah.
flip on the switch and
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, in my home, I turn mine
like
off.
for perimeter lights.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
things, yes.
You know, my wife is very security conscious, and she always wants the lights on, and I'm very
Energy conscious.
Well, yeah, energy conscious. So I switch them up. So we're doing this business, and
Yeah.
so you've given me an idea. Maybe I'll take one home and use it at home for my perimeter lights.
No, absolutely. I'm interested myself in this, for my own home, and it's excellent. And like as I mentioned, when the power goes out, you want to be able to stay tuned to the emergency services and to the news, and it's got a radio.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It's got everything you need.
It's a lifeline.
Yeah.
There you go.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. I think this is certainly going to be a big hit in this country. So, but
and as I mentioned, it even looks cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it looks like a cool radio. I mean, if you're a young person,
Yeah.
I'm a youngish person, so
and and I've seen other varieties of this by and dare I say it, with other companies, and none of them are as cool as this one. Frankly, they're a box, but this one's this is nice, And
it doesn't look clunky at all. It's got a nice color, and it's very functional.
Yeah.
And you have these 4.
Those are for the different lights. Yeah, you switch them on and off. So you can have one on, and you have two on, and so you can conserve the battery if you want. By having just one, and obviously if you put one in 4 rooms, or if you have 4 rooms, then you can you switch them on and off as you need them. Of course.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Ian, what are the future plans of Canadian Solar for the Philippines, aside from distributing these systems?
Well, we're in talks with a number of companies about utility scale. Now the feed-in tariff has been implemented. Many companies now are looking to commercialize and they've submitted the documentation. So we're talking to a lot of the people that are actually considering the utility scale, the 5 and the 10 megawatt systems. Those are very interesting, of course. Then there's the rooftop. We have a company that we're talking to. We're actually going to do a demonstration system on a local bank here in the Philippines, who have many branches that can benefit from the solar system, of course. And I think commercial establishments like malls and what have you, they can certainly benefit from that. They have a lot of roof space, so we want to target those areas, of course. So if you have a lot of roof space, please give me a call, and I'll be happy to give you a quotation for you.
Finally, quickly, how can they get in touch with you, people who are interested in
They
this?
can contact me at Ian Roger Smith at CanadianSolar.com. Just drop me an email, and I'll be happy to talk to you and give you all the information you need.
Thank you very much, Ian.
You're welcome.
More power to you and Canadian Solar, and we look
buddy.
forward to covering your other projects as we move forward with solar power in this country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Nice talking with you.
So guys, I hope you learned a lot about solar power in the Philippines. Join us again next week here in the show where we talk about what matters to you, because you matter the most. I'll see you next week.